Welcome to the interview. He is the brain behind Netflix, the reason why users in 40 different countries are addicted to stream shows and movies on their smart devices. Since 1997 and his revolutionary DVD distribution in the US, he has converted 50 million traditional TV viewers into binge watchers. Now, the time has come for its $700 million company to be launched in Germany, Switzerland, Luxembourg, Belgium, Austria, and France. France, a territory which sounds a little bit like a challenge for this global game changer. But is he up to face it? And what are his disruptive perspectives on televisions for the years to come? Reed Hastings, Netflix co-founder and CEO, is with us today on France 24. So it's a big day for you today since you're launching your service in France. Well, the debate has heated up in the Hexagon since you decided to settle a few months ago. Broadcasters can be at the same time friends and foes to you, since they can be partners or competitors to Netflix. Do you feel welcome in France?
Well, I think we feel very welcome by the consumers. They want on demand. They want to be able to watch when they want and where they want on any screen. But by the competitors, not so welcome.
So the strategy while launching your service elsewhere apart from the US has always been apart also from telecom operators. Now the problem is that here in France, 2/3 of TV viewers do come through this box system, and yet you seem to be struggling, let's call it this way, to get agreements with Orange, Free and Numéricable, even though Bouygues Telecom will deliver your service by November. How do you handle this?
In every country around the world, like Netherlands and the UK that we've launched in, we've had no set-top boxes. And then after a year or two, we're able to get them. In fact, in Netherlands, still no set-top boxes 1 year after launch. In the UK, it was after 2 years for Virgin. So the fact that Bouygues has agreed, before we've even started, this is the best we've ever done. So we're very excited about it. Without the set-top integration, people use the Smart TV or Chromecast or Apple TV. And we'll continue to work with SFR and Orange and Free and see if eventually we can make business together.
Are you confident you're going to make business together?
No, it takes a long time. And in the US, it's been 5 years and still nothing with Comcast. So sometimes it can be a very long time.
About the US, your main competitor there is HBO. Who would be your HBO in France, for instance?
Oh, Canal Plus is amazing. And they have so much content and such good shows. They're a great competitor, and we're very small compared to them. But we have some great shows, some unique shows. Orange is the New Black and Hemlock Grove, and just great television. So we're excited about beginning that journey. And in the US, we've grown very large. But HBO is also growing. So the competition has made us both bigger.
You announced 2 shows that will be produced with French producers and directors. The first one is called Marseille, which sounds to me like a little House of Cards in Provence, and also an animation series with a studio from Lille. Is that your way to show your credentials to the French content creators, or to the French ecosystem, by the way?
It's really a way to please consumers around the world, not just in France. So with the Marseille series, which will be different than House of Cards, it has more family dynamics in it. It's by an amazing writer, Dan Frank, who did Carlos. And Carlos was very popular around the world. So, at least the movie, not the person. But we think this series, Marseille, may really be a big global hit. Filmed in French, really about French culture. And we may see Marseille become, a boost in tourism, a boost in excitement. So we're really looking forward to it. It'll be about a year until it comes out.
Actually, let's talk again a few minutes about France and this French cultural exception. How would you define it?
I would define it as a really proud culture that wants to export its culture and strengthen its culture. And we love that. We're one of the largest exporters of French movies anywhere in the world, like Intouchables. It's Netflix that takes that around the world, and many other great movies. Because Netflix is so global, we can really help French storytellers share their stories around the world. And so I think we'll be the great friend of French content.
But don't you fear that your competitors, let's call them, for instance, Canal Plus or TF1 or M6, do refer actually to that French cultural exception to say that you are the bad guys on the market?
They may say that, but that just draws attention to us. Then it makes people curious. And the great thing about Netflix is it's so inexpensive. It's €7.99 a month, and there's no commitments. Anyone can try it. It's a free trial. So the more they talk about us, the more it makes attention. And people say, oh, maybe I'll try that and see what Netflix is like, because it's free to try.
So another question that actually draws attention to Netflix is the fiscal issues. And your European headquarters are in Luxembourg right now, but you plan to move them to the Netherlands by 2015. My question is the fiscal, let's call it, forecast better in Northern Europe than in France?
No, it's really a great forecast all around for Netflix, because French consumers love movies and TV shows, so we think it'll be a big market for us. Our European headquarters are now in Amsterdam. The legal part switches over December 31st, so another 3.5 months, but all the people are there in Amsterdam.
But what about taxes? Actually, don't you think that there should be something called a European fiscal or tax harmonization, if you may, to put a curb on that debate?
Absolutely, that we comply with all of the EU rules, and the rules are getting better for the member states, like with VAT now. After January, the VAT that we collect goes to France, where before it went to Luxembourg.
So let's talk a little bit about content, because content is king for sure, but recommendation might be its dauphin in that case. So how do you read into your subscribers' mind with the algorithm? Tell me a little bit more about the algorithm that Netflix relies on.
So with Netflix, every time somebody watches a title, we look at what other titles they watch. And then when a new person joins the service, we can then match them and try to figure out, to make it easy to choose, what titles are you likely to watch. And so the more people that we have as members, the better the system gets, because of the better data. But
did you get yourself surprised by the algorithm, because you're of course also a Netflix user?
Yeah, it's recommending shows that I didn't know about, and then I'm kind of suspicious, but I try it, and then I love it.
What about loose data, for instance? I know you're really keen on privacy and
yes.
on all this debate. How do you make sure that the data you do collect just go for the recommendation thing?
So the Dutch privacy regulator is one of the most strong in Europe. And so when we're under regulation of the Dutch privacy regulator, we encrypt all of the data, we keep it very safe, and we're not in the advertising business. We have no advertisements. So our only customer is the consumer, trying to do right by them. We're not selling their information to anyone for money.
Let's talk a few minutes about disruption and the future of television. You said, quote, the future of television is an app. And I do bet you have an app for that future.
Yeah, absolutely. What's happening is, if you look at the mobile phone and the tablet, eventually the TV is like a large tablet. So it's got applications you can choose and watch different videos, and you'll be able to speak to it. I mean, there's just amazing technology coming. So think of the TV, the tablet, and the phone as all the same, just larger screens.
But will actual television be dead by 2020?
2020, no. That's 7 years from now, no. 6 years. That'll continue, but more and more of television will be over the internet and on demand. And then linear television, when it's scheduled, certain shows on at 7 and other shows at 8, you know, that will probably only last 10 or 20 years.
So are you trying to turn traditional TV viewers into their own producers or programmers for the show they want to watch?
Yeah, it's kind of amazing, really. Consumers, it'll be like going into a bookstore, and they get to choose what book they want, okay? Instead of saying this is the book of the week, which is how we do linear television today. So it's an era of coming consumer choice, where they get to choose what they want to watch. and they can watch a whole season at once, the so-called binge viewing.
So Netflix corporate culture seems to be one of a kind. You recently released a document on SlideShare that gets a glimpse actually on your philosophy that thrives on uncertainty but also on trust. Could you please explain us a little bit more about that freedom philosophy?
Sure. Within the company, we want people to have great ambition and to have independence and freedom to innovate and to make things better, and then to feel a great sense of responsibility. And so those two things, freedom and responsibility, really go together. And because of that, we've been able to innovate from DVD to streaming, from streaming domestically to streaming globally, from licensing content to licensing content, and to doing original content. So that culture attracts people who want to be very innovative.
And do you still think that you're what, a tech company or a media company, or maybe the difference doesn't stand in a Netflix context?
Yeah, we're really three. We have to be a great marketing company of getting the word out. We have to be a great content company, both licensing and producing, and we have to be a great tech company. So it's very challenging in the new world because you have to have multiple skills.
Now, I know that you're a fierce supporter of net neutrality, and I'm sure it's for legitimate reasons as an internet user, but it also may be because Netflix is up to 34% of traffic, online traffic in the US. Where do you see heading that debate on net neutrality?
Well, net neutrality is the idea that services can get started without needing permission of the operators. And then there's new services all the time. And we don't want the internet to become like television networks, where it's very hard to get started. We want to make it so lots of people create video networks and other networks. And that's what net neutrality is about opening up that competition.
Thank you so much, Reed Hastings, to be here on the Entretien, the interview today. That's all we have time for, but more news to come on France 24. Stay with us.